nightmare retirement consultation.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, right? No risk, no reward, right? We're going all risk, see? We're going to put everything you got in the market. You're going to love it.
Don't walk, run from that office and go to your future retirement partner with your best interest in mind. With a retirement plan that includes growth, protection, and income. So you can sleep well at night. Call Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial, 888-285-0829. 888-285-0829.
Brian Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Brian Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and education services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity from Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal issues may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions relative to these issues.
Everybody's more productive when you have a checklist. Your retirement checklist coming up right after this.
Achieving wealth in your retirement.
Get on the right road in the beginning now so that you don't make big mistakes down the road in retirement.
A better life in your retirement.
My parents made some costly mistakes, and I am passionate about helping people avoid those same mistakes.
Brian Gaiser can help you get there.
I want to be your accountability partner in retirement.
It's Wealth Through Wisdom Radio with your host, Brian Gaiser.
This is Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser. I'm Chuck Caton with the creator of the P4 Retirement Process. That's your financial compass. Don't forget to be proactive, plan, pursue, and prosper with the man who is Greensboro's own, and he has a heart of a teacher. And it is Brian Gaiser, whom you can see on ABC 45 on Sunday evenings at 6 p.m. And the show is called Wealth Through Wisdom TV. So as you head down that road to retirement, it's real important to consider the many components of your plan because what might feel like a small piece of the puzzle can actually make or break the quality of your financial future. So today, we are covering a checklist to help you retire with confidence. That's what it's all about here on Wealth Through Wisdom, and really leave no doubt in your financial plan. So we got that checklist going here, Brian. And we talk about this each and every week. It's nice to have a plan, but you better write it down.
You know, you better write it down. And you didn't even mention Ice Cube's quote of, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Well, what's wrong with you, Chuck? But
well, because I don't have a Southern accent, for one. And the second thing is you can do it better than
California or somewhere out that way, isn't he?
I know. Ice Cube. How about all of these LL Cool J, Rush, Usher? Yeah. I mean, what would you call yourself if you were a rapper anyway, as we divert?
Better go home. I don't know.
I would say Big Daddy G is
there you go, Big Daddy. That's a G thing. That's right. It's a G thing, baby.
But it's seriously, a written plan is very important, isn't it, Brian?
It is. You know, I heard one time, and we'll talk a little more about this gentleman, and I've talked about him before. Stephen Covey said, having a plan, having a schedule, having a budget, all of these kinds of things are so critical. And he says, and just being organized and living by a schedule is so critical to you kind of living the life you want to live. And he says, I want you to imagine a room, your bedroom, without closets and dresser drawers. What a mess things would be. And when you think about it that way, it almost, you get a feeling like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine just everything out laying on the floor or what have you. And it really is, you don't have a written plan. You're kind of just, that's basically what you're living in, is a bedroom without any dresser drawers or closets. And you don't want to leave your financial situation to chance. And so you must plan, and it's real important that it's a holistic and comprehensive, customized specifically to you, to your circumstances, to your goals, to what you need, right? And your plan also should consider your investment saving vehicles. Are you taking too much risk? All of these kind of things. Risk tolerance, risk exposure. Am I taking too much risk? Do I have the income I need? Is it smart to be drawing off of my dividends? I'm more of a fan of allowing the dividends to keep reinvesting for me. If I'm retired, why would I do that? Well, I can't invest in my IRA, but my dividends can go back into my IRA and build more stock and build more shares. So it's really just a methodical plan, a true written retirement plan built for you that stays flexible and that you revisit on a periodic basis.
We're talking about a retirement checklist for you, and I guess after that written plan, I know you don't like the word budget, but having a spending plan has got to be on your checklist as well.
Budget, spending plan. Budget, a lot of people feels it limits me, and so we'll change it to spending, right? Let's get to the fun part, spending. But you want a controlled spending plan. How about that? There's the control word to just get you all upset. But determine how much you're going to spend and determine the income gap. So what do we mean by determining the income gap? So you're retired now. You got to think about this. You're retired. Okay, you and your spouse get Social Security, and let's just assume that couple, Chuck, earns about $5,000 a month, or receives is a better word, $5,000 a month between the two of them for their Social Security, and they happen to have $1,000 in pension money. And they could have saved $1 million. Let's just keep it simple, and we'll keep it at an even million is in their nest egg, their savings. And what they've got to determine is, well, how much do we spend a month? And if you spend around $8,000 a month, let's say, that's $2,000 more than you have coming in. And that's $6,000 gross, and you need another $2,000 net, really, but that's $2,000 gross gap. So to get yourself to a net $2,000, if you spend $8,000, you got to consider taxes. You got to consider a lot of things when it comes to budgeting for yourself in retirement. So what it really boils down to is this: okay, I need $8,000 a month. I've got $6,000 coming from a pension and Social Security. I have $1 million. If I earn 2%, that's $20,000 a year. So that's not going to get it. 2.4%, well, there's 24. So that's reasonable. What if I earn 5? That more than could probably pay the taxes for everything, and leave you the $8,000 you need in order to live the lifestyle you want, because $8,000 a month is $96,000 a year, and that's pretty common, especially when you have 22% in inflation, real inflation, probably 23, 24, 25% over the last 3 years, and hope we don't go through that again over the next 3-4 years.
Absolutely true. And so again, you have to have those details. What do you need? What are your what's costing you? Is there a way to pare down a little bit? But I guess it also boils down. Another checklist item is income. Where is it coming from? You touched on it before, but how will it be there when you need it each and every month in almost an endless supply?
The two pensions we just talked about, Social Security, and also that pension that you get from work, that I don't care who I meet with. That's everybody that comes to the door, that's their favorite money. That known money going in their account every month gives them sleep well at night, like you talk about a whole lot. And it really boils down to that. Another area where you can pick up income is reduce your expenses. You might be paying too much for car insurance. That's one way to look at your income. It's not just the income you have coming in. What if I'm paying $2,000 a year in car insurance and I could get it down to $1,400? Well, that saves $600 a month. That saves you $50 a month off of this. Doesn't sound like a lot. Then you throw in your homeowner's insurance, and you look at it from a standpoint: am I connected to a lot of different expenses that really I don't use? Magazines, maybe. I'm a big fan of put together a list of things you can do that cost little to nothing to do, but it's a lot of joy and a lot of fun. So income is going to be really critical. So building an income during pre-retirement years is critical. You want to account for your wages, your residual income, passive income, potentially what you want to do is your Social Security and any of your pensions. You want to look at all of those things and how do you get them to work together? When's the right time to take your Social Security? All these variables, Chuck, come into play.
Absolutely.
You're dealing with it. I mean, you're just juggling it. You work part-time, not because you work part-time for your sanity and for your wife's sanity so that you get out from under her hair, but it's just normal. And I know my wife wouldn't want me home all the time as well.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. We're talking about that checklist with Brian Gaiser here on Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser. And one of the checklist items is healthcare, because understanding the cost and coverage of Medicare is also crucial when you turn 65. Part A, covering hospital care. That's what that's all about. You don't have a monthly premium for that. But in contrast, you have Part B, which is responsible for outpatient care, and then Part D for prescription drugs and that coverage. And that involves a lot as well.
Sure. That's an understatement. Understanding, like you say, the cost of coverage of Medicare is crucial. Knowing what one's right what's right for you. Is it Medicare Advantage? Is it a Medicare supplement? Your Part A, what does that even cover? Part A Medicare, what does that even mean? Well, that covers hospital care. And typically, that doesn't have a monthly premium. In contrast, though, when you sign up for Part B Medicare, they charge right now, I think it's $174 and some change. I know it is $174 and like 50 cents or 40 cents. And that comes out of your Social Security check every month. And not only that does it come out of your check, Chuck, I don't know if you realize this, but it's subject to tax when they draw that money out to pay for Part B. Is subject to tax.
Yeah, I know.
That's about $1,900, $2,000. Well, it's closer to $2,000 a year, whatever that equates to. I haven't actually thought it through, but it's right around $2,000 per spouse. So if you got $24,000 a year coming in from, well, let's say you had $44,000 a year from the two of you coming in, $4,000 of it would be going to your Part B. And if you make more money, depending on the level of funds you make, they'll also increase that Part B. So really it's more like a tax, but it's responsible for like outpatient care. Then you also have Part D, which is prescription drugs. So it's just a plethora of things, and getting with someone that really understands these areas and understands that, hey, we got to look at what prescriptions you're taking, all of these kind of variables to make sure we place you with the right Medicare supplement. The Part D, make sure you get the proper one so that it's covering the drugs that you take or the medications or the maintenance drugs, however you want to look at it. But over time, there are changes and amendments to all of this kind of mess, if you will. Working with a professional is really essential, and you really want to think these things through. That's where the holistic comes in, Chuck. It all has to work together.
Absolutely. Now, you've got about 30 seconds. What about tax planning? That's got to be on your checklist as too, because there are things called the qualified account and non-qualified accounts, and maybe you can take 30 seconds to explain those, and then
I will
what you can do
explain
for our
that.
listeners.
Absolutely. What it boils down to is this: qualified and non-qualified. Non-qualified, you're being taxed as you go, unless it's in a tax-deferred vehicle. Qualified would be your IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, what have you. And you're not being taxed until you draw out of those. So it's real important to understand where to draw your money from. I say tax planning, the biggest part of planning in retirement and tax planning is where do I draw my money from so it's most tax efficient to me. But really what it boils down to is what we started this program out with, and that's build that financial plan, right? We, in our back office and with our investment team, we have CFPs and CFAs that we work with. And this investment team of partners, what we do is we put together a comprehensive plan, a holistic plan that takes in consideration all the things we just talked about, not just where you invest your money, but how do you spend your money? Where do you draw your money from? All of these kind of things. Growth plan is so critical. Spending plan is so critical, but they're two different entities, and you can't treat all monies the same. That's why giving us a call, Chuck will tell you how.
888-959-1641. That's the phone number to reach Brian Gaiser and his team so that you can retire with confidence. He's got people standing by to take your phone call, take your information so he can call you back to make that no-cost, no-obligation appointment to meet with him about your retirement. It's always Wealth Through Wisdom, and it's 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641 so that you can be proactive in retirement. You can plan for retirement, pursue your dreams, and prosper. What's coming up next, Brian?
Well, Chuck, we round out our checklist of items to consider on your road to retirement, along with tips and strategies to help you streamline the planning process right after this.
How's the market doing?
It's fine.
How's the market doing now?
The same as it was 5 seconds ago.
Stop worrying about market volatility. A good retirement plan will keep you from panicking. Get that solid retirement plan with lifetime income and protection from retirement pitfalls. Call Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial, 888-285-0829, 888-285-0829.
Well, Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser continuing, and remember that phone number once again is 888-959-1641. He's the creator of that P4 retirement process, which is your financial compass. Remember, he's got the heart of a teacher. He is Greensboro's own, and you see him on ABC 45, 6 o'clock Sunday evenings on Wealth Through Wisdom Television. All right, we're going to round out this checklist once again, and maybe you want me to do a little rapping here with Busta Rhymes. This is Busta Rhymes, not Buster. Oh, my gosh. What would English teachers say about that? Well, let me see if I can say this in a very refined way. Do it. Got you all in check, and you know we come through. All right. You go. You tell me what it means.
We got to say something here. God rest his soul. He is in the ground.
Oh, he's in the ground. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, my wife
told
me.
Well, that didn't rhyme, so I don't know why he's called Buster Rhymes. I don't get it, but I do know about asset inventory. Maybe you could explain that on that checklist.
Yeah, I mean, it boils down to you have assets, you have savings. You've got to look at your big picture. You've got certain income streams. We just talked about this a little bit before. But when you get into your growth and income money in retirement, when you get into, hey, I need a rainy day bucket, all of these kind of variables come into play. So your allocation, how are you allocated? Are you allocated like you're 30 years old, or you're allocated like you're 65 years old? I think that's really critical. You don't want to be taking too much risk and the market pulls down greatly and you don't have the time horizon to rebuild it back and then grow again. So risk tolerance is going to be important. Allocation is important. What is your risk tolerance? Are you taking too much risk? Even at 65, not every 65-year-old has the same risk tolerance relative to income streams, and that's really what it boils down to. If I have a huge income stream from whether it's rental property, large pensions, Social Security, and it triples what I need every month and for my spending, then I'm probably more comfortable with more risk. But if it's a tight fit and I'm only have $300-400 left at the end of the month, even $1,000 or $2,000 left at the end of the month, I probably want to back off some of my risk and look more at the income side. Because when it comes to retirement, income's your number one goal. You want to put that together. Some people, it's automatic. That's maybe 2 in 100. The rest, they've got to really think it through. And then you got to really be careful, Chuck, when it comes to risk exposure. How much risk are you actually exposed to within your investments? And a lot of people, how do you do that? You analyze it. Minimum once a year, you want to revisit and run a risk tolerance risk. You just want to run, look at where you are, run a score. And what we normally do is benchmark off of the S&P, say that you had 80% of the S&P's risk. You might want to back it off to 60 when you turn 70. You want to back it off to 40 when you turn 75. That kind of thing. As you get older, you want to take a whole lot less risk.
Absolutely. So do you believe in that rule of 100 example? And maybe so you can explain that to the listeners.
Yeah, the rule of 100 comes into play when assessing your asset inventory. So quite simply put, the way you want to look at it is you want to take your age and then you want to subtract 100 from it. So if you're 75 or 100, subtract your age, that is. Subtract your age, you're at 25. That is the percentage of assets that should be put into safe investment. So 75, your age, that's 75% of your money that's in safe investments. I can't lose. That type of thing, income, what have you. The other 25% you want to consider. But it'll really still depend on your flow of income. You want to make sure your flow of income gives you money first for your rainy day bucket, second for your investing. And that's why I'm a fan of dividends, and because the dividends allow you to invest right back into you. You want those dividends to invest right back into you because you can't put money in your IRA anymore, especially if you're not working.
Absolutely true. All right, we're giving you a checklist, ladies and gentlemen, as you approach retirement on what to think about. And we touched on Social Security before, but maybe you can amplify on this, Brian, because when to take it is the key question.
Yeah, I think if you're a married couple out there, the higher earning spouse going to have a larger benefit, obviously, which is why it generally makes sense for the higher earning spouse to wait as long as possible to claim that benefit. Really is important. Just sat down with a lady yesterday with the higher benefit issue because her husband's he's taken disability and has been for a while. So she was clearly the higher earner. just had a tragic situation happen that caused him to put himself in that situation. So she is putting off her Social Security as long as possible in case something happens to her. He doesn't have the capability to earn assets. And she structured him in a way where his income would more than take care of him, from one, delaying her Social Security, two, creating income streams for herself. So by waiting longer, whoever passes first, the larger of the two Social Securities will go to the spouse that is the survivor. That's what I'm trying to say. But Social Security is really critical to manage properly.
All right, so is legacy planning, your wills and trust, because you got to have those documents in order. And I think this is where a lot of people fumble the ball, Brian. They don't consider it until possibly too late.
Folks that come in, what we do is we put together that to-do list for putting together your wills. And we don't do your wills. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not an estate attorney. But a lot of people say, yeah, I got to put the will together. But they look at that big elephant. Oh, my God, what am I giving everybody? I break it down. I give you a worksheet that'll help you put together what you need to go see an attorney to get your wills, power of attorneys, healthcare power of attorneys in place, and then they can discuss more about trust. But I got some information on trust, whether you should, whether you shouldn't. And it's really important, folks. You're talking legacy planning. You talk about something that'll divide a family. Don't have your stuff together with your legacy. And just imagine your kids not speaking, because it happens even to the best of families. So we give that when folks come in and we put together a plan for them. We take our time, we assess their big situation, and we put together a plan that will help them achieve their goals in retirement, help them, enjoy their retirement, not worry about where their next dollar is coming from. We also want that bridge between them and putting their assets, they're leaving their legacy to their children. We want that to be right, regardless we work together or not. My goal is to make sure that when you come in to visit with me, you're going to walk away with some concrete information that'll help you. And one of the biggest areas is legacy planning, wills, and trusts. We give you some good information on that, Chuck.
Yeah, I just recently saw the movie Knives Out. And that you talk about a family that was dysfunctional, that was being handed all kinds of money by that author who was played by Christopher Plummer. They all fought, and then it ended up going to the nurse, the very honest nurse that always took care of them. She got the house. She got the 35 or 50 million, whatever the legacy was. Hey, and everybody got nothing else.
Did you ever hear about that butler with the lady with a couple of dogs, a couple of Yorkies? She left everything to the Yorkies, and when the Yorkies died, he gets it. He killed them. He killed them and paid a $1,000 fine. I'm like, God, that is horrible. She didn't think that through too well. See, that's why you got to plan in advance.
You got that right. And when we talk about planning in advance,
and that's true. That is true.
Yeah, you got to look for life insurance, long-term care, because heaven forbid you may need it. Well,
in my case, I'm 7 years older than my wife, so I have a long-term care policy built into my life insurance. So if I get sick, she's able to have extra funds to take care of me. But in addition to that, not only does she have extra funds and able to take care of me, when I die, the balance still goes to her. And then I have an additional term insurance if we make it up to that age, that she still gets a big plug in the event of me expiring. Then I have an agreement with someone also where they end up with my business, who's my back office, my investment team. So they end up with my business through a policy as well. So when it comes to true legacy planning, you got to think all these things through. It's not fun in the beginning, but you sure do feel a whole lot better knowing your family's going to be taken care of. But long-term care, I'm telling you, nothing will wipe out an estate quicker, Chuck, than long-term care. So, folks, what it really boils down to is putting together a plan. And if you have at least $300,000 saved for retirement, you really want to take this mystery, this big elephant you've been avoiding. I'll teach you how to eat that elephant one bite at a time. We'll put together a tax analysis, a customized income plan. We're going to look at your Social Security. We're going to come up with a plan when you both take your Social Security, or you as an individual take your Social Security. We're going to look over your whole situation. My back office of CFPs and CFAs, we put this together. It's a team that puts together a plan for you at no cost, no obligation. You don't even have to become a client. Take advantage of this offer. And I promise you, the day one, you're going to walk away with a lot of good information and a lot of things that you can get started on regardless. Step up to the plate. Chuck will tell you how.
All right, it's 888-959-1641. That's the number, because it starts with a core plan. It leads to a comprehensive one. And that first step is to sit down with a financial coach. Brian Gaiser at your service. He's a fiduciary, and if something we're talking about resonates with you and you feel the need to get maybe a second opinion on this, or if you want to make sure your plan is really aligned with your goals, and very important, we talked about risk tolerance. Just call in right now to get that no-cost, no-obligation appointment with Brian Gaiser, because it is Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser at 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641. It's all about the process, to be proactive, to plan, to pursue, and to prosper. And I don't know about you, but right here on this program, we are tied to the status quo of learning the best way to get to retirement. This is what it's all about. So if you're unsure about that, well, I give Brian Gaiser a call and make that no-cost, no-obligation appointment to sit down and discuss your retirement. Once again, it's 888-959-1641, 888-959-1641. He's got people standing by. You'll talk to them about making that no-cost, no-obligation appointment, and Brian will get to you as to when that will take place. Let's take a break, Brian. What's coming up in the next segment?
Yeah, Chuck, while you and your partner make a pair, your retirement savings may not be in sync. It's possible that you've built up steady savings and are in good shape, but your partner may have very little saved, if anything at all. We'll break it down right after this.
At Gaiser Financial, we believe in better. A better way to invest, a better way to serve you, and a better result. Our P4 process begins with us listening. Take advantage of our complimentary retirement strategy session by calling Brian Gaiser, host of Better Living and president of Gaiser Financial, at 888-285-0829. That's 888-285-0829.
Wealth Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser is continuing our third segment on this particular program with the creator of the P4 retirement process, which is being proactive, planning, pursuing, and prospering with Greensboro's own Brian Gaiser. Wealth Through Wisdom. We see him on television at 6 o'clock on Sundays on ABC 45. And well, you're not going to watch the Super Bowl. You're going to watch Brian Gaiser this weekend.
You know, that's
sure.
right.
All right. You're going to watch at least part of the Super Bowl after the Wealth Through Wisdom program finishes on ABC 45 at 6 o'clock on Sunday. All right.
Thank you, Chuck.
Listen, you're going to break all the ratings records.
You know that's right.
What's the Super Bowl? Who cares about that game? What steps can you take to help a spouse or significant other bolster their retirement savings? So let's take a look at it here, because you do have, you've got a couple of partners. You have your spouse, and you have, of course, Uncle Sam. You have Aunt Caroline. They are kind of in the background.
They love you.
They love you probably as much as your spouse does when it comes tax time, that's for sure, if you're not planning properly here. So, let's talk about the relationship, though, that you have. You have an emotional relationship with your spouse, a very practical relationship, and you have a business relationship that I think a lot of people don't realize, right, Brian? So you've got to hold regular budget meetings here. You've got to sit down over a cup of coffee and talk to your spouse about being aligned in your goals in retirement. That's very important, isn't it?
You know, it really is. If holding regular budget meetings is important. Some people do it weekly. I think that's a little obsessive. It might get a little old. Maybe in the early goings, you go weekly, then you go bi-weekly, then you get yourself to monthly, and maybe every other month, But you want to just make sure that you're watching your Amazon purchases. That's my toughest job with my wife. You watch your Amazon purchases, make sure you're thinking it through. If you can order anywhere else, I recommend it anyways, just to kind of spread the wealth. But that being said, holding regular budgeting meetings is really important. You want to cover topics like saving, spending habits, income. What are we buying? Investments. Are we putting money aside? Are you physically? Folks, I'm telling you, physically, just add $100 to your savings a month. Just things like that. Build good habits. Everything follows good habits, right? Everything follows a good process. In fact, when we talk about wisdom, it's really all about the process. Wisdom always boils back to about the process. What's the best way to get to where I want to go? in the shortest fashion, but also enjoy the journey, because really life is about the journey. Part of this is most arguments that I see, Chuck, and I don't know about you, with couples, it usually it boils down to about 80-90% of them is money. And so if you're meeting on a regular basis, it gets you on the same path, gets you on the same level. Oh, I thought you meant this and now you mean that. I would have never known it had we not sat down and kind of looked over our budget. It's really important. So open communication is crucial for understanding each other's financial goals and concerns. And also where there's waste, it helps you both eliminate waste and make sure you're on the same page.
Yes, and when you do that, you have to talk about the budgeting part of it, as you mentioned before. You may get a very nice surprise from your employer. So make good use of a raise, because I guess the old adage is don't spend it all in one place when you get this bundle of money over a period of time that increases. Now, I don't know if a lot of people get raises that much anymore, but if they do, you've got to be prudent with it.
Inflation's been eating them up, probably.
Yeah, right.
Increase in inflation can offset your raises, just basically built to offset that. Lately, it's probably been going to that, trying to. But you got to, cutting expenses is a raise too. So cut expenses, we talked about in the earlier segment, but increase your retirement savings by allocating a portion of your raise every time. Just make it a point. If I get a $1,000 raise this year, $500 more is going into my IRA, into my 401k. Keep a portion of the raise for use, but consider putting that rest toward that retirement. I'm telling you, folks. And then the strategy is beneficial for both of you and your partner and help to boost long-term savings. So look to save. If you look to save, you'll spend no matter what. But if you look to save, that's really the goal every day, is just look to save. How can I cut back on expenses? Cut out a light, just little things. If your power bill goes down, of course, they've all been going up like crazy, along with your food bill. Heck, you can't even eat a steak today. You got to go to hamburger. And it's just got out of hand. But it is what it is. So you got to kind of suck it up and go, okay, how do I do this? How am I more intelligent about when I do, purchase? Like Harris Teeter here locally, if my wife wants a ribeye, I know I can go on there on Thursdays, and that's when they mark down the thinly cut ribeyes, and so I buy the thinly cut ribeyes. Just don't tell her. No. But it's true. I mean, you got to really be creative to kind of cut back on some of those expenses, and it's really important that you take some of that raise and put it in there and create a raise from cutting expenses as well.
All right, and how about when you talk about the partnership with you and your spouse, make that spousal contribution to an IRA. I know I had for a number of years, and it's really paid off because we've taken that IRA, converted it to a Roth IRA, so she has a ton of tax-free money coming to her.
Yeah, and it's going to be really critical, God forbid, something's happening to one of the two of you one day, and that's just a reality. Same with me. And now you're a single filer. That tax bill is going to jump up, and having that Roth that Chuck has built up was really intelligent, and it will help calm the blow from the tax standpoint. Obviously, there's a big problem when one loses a spouse, but that's a bunch of other problems trickle out of that. So a spousal contribution to an IRA, like my spouse, she doesn't earn a paycheck per se, but she definitely does her share of work. She's incredible. But we're able to put money into an IRA on her behalf, even though she doesn't work. We're able to do that. And so by doing that, it just, why not an extra $8,000 this year? It'll be $8,000. And then I immediately convert it to a Roth, and it's only in her name, and all she has is that Roth. And it just keeps building and building and building and building.
Absolutely. Now, how about using all your retirement options, too? Because there's a lot of things that when you sit down to talk to your spouse, I know in my situation, my wife says, you handle it. I don't want to talk about it unless it becomes important. But got to do that and, review your account balances. She's not one to really want to discuss those types of things. I don't know what she's afraid of, but she doesn't really want to get involved. And at some point, she's going to have to, right?
She needs your permission, right?
Yeah, well,
or you need her permission.
We're probably the last generation that could say that, too, because I am in my low 70s, if some of the listeners don't realize. And maybe we're the mongooses, so to speak, when it comes to that, because I think the tail wags the dog with the younger generations today.
It does. Make sure you and your spouse understand that all the retirement plan options available to your family, and then use these plans to build your retirement savings. It's pretty simple. You just got to look at all the options. It's a process of elimination. Once again, that's where the wisdom comes in. You go through a process of elimination. That's what, pros and cons. That's what you call it. Ben Franklin used to draw a line down the middle, pros, cons. And he was thinking of an idea. He just went through the pros and cons. And if the cons outweighed the pros, he didn't do it. If the pros outweighed the cons, he did it. And it really boils down to that. I mean, it's just simple. Wisdom is really simple. That wisdom is simple. It's just not used often in a lot of cases. And that's what our program's all about. That's what our planning's all about. It's putting wisdom in there. It's creating it in a way that you can actually follow it, that you understand. Genius is the ability to reduce things down to the most simplest form. And that, a number of people probably said that. I know Einstein had a quote similar to that. And it really is. That is what genius is all about, is making the complicated simple. Planning for retirement can be complicated, but it can be a whole lot simpler if you get someone involved.
Absolutely. All right, we're talking about things you can do with your spouse to sit down, bolster your retirement savings. And one of the other big things to do, and we're only a month and a half into 2024, is to begin this year, do it right now by planning together for your retirement, knowing what each other are doing. And if you disagree on something, mend those disagreements as well.
Hey, disagreements might not be the best thing in the whole wide world. Reviewing your account balances like you talked about, that's where a lot of disagreements, living 20 years in retirement. You just sent me a little video on Fran Tarkenton, who just turned 84 on the 3rd of February. And so he's been in retirement for years, but really he hadn't. He continues to work full time. It was really a neat video. But the point is that you're going to be in retirement. Not everybody wants to work in retirement like Fran. Well, you've got to really think these things through, folks. If you and your partner have different financial priorities that can affect your partnership, your willingness to even work together or save more together, you need to sit down and work it out. A good way to do that, create a very good plan that you both can agree on, and you both get what you want out of retirement. You might have two different ideas about retirement. I'm probably going to travel more than my spouse. There's no doubt in my mind. I already do. But she does like to travel, but not at the level I like to. But we just work that out. Folks, it boils down to a financial plan. I'm telling you, we put together a plan, and it's a team. It's a team that includes my investment team with CFAs and CFPs. I talk to different people, and then I run it by someone that hadn't looked at the plan I prepared in our back office. And I'll say, would this fit? Here's the scenario. We try to look at it and play it out in our minds before we come back and present you, hey, here's the best plan for you. Folks, we really put our heart and soul into it to make sure that we ping every area that's important to you. Spending plan, growth plan, income plan. Make sure you're protected against long-term care. All of these kind of variables. But it's just not going to happen. You got to step up to the plate. If you have at least $300,000 saved for retirement, give us a call. Chuck will tell you how.
All right, it starts with that core plan. It leads to a comprehensive one that we always talk about here, and it's always about wealth through wisdom with Brian Gaiser. And that phone number to get a hold of him for a no-cost, no-obligation sit-down to see where you sit in the business of retirement and where you end up wanting to be with the tutelage and the help of Brian Gaiser is to call 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641. Brian's got people standing by to take your information, so give them the information. He will call you back, and he'll make that no-cost, no-obligation appointment with you so that you can discuss all the ins and outs of retirement. And don't forget, you can always bring your spouse as well. In fact, that's encouraged. 888-959-1641 is the number. That's 888-959-1641, because it's advice like Brian can give you that will show you how important it is to meet with him and understand those ins and outs of the financial world and your retirement world. So once again, it's 888-959-1641 to get a hold of Brian Gaiser. And remember, to be proactive, to plan, to pursue, and prosper. That is the P4 retirement process. We've got to take a break, but I know your favorite segment's coming.
Yep, folks. You've got questions, we've got answers. Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
Many of us look forward to the day we retire. We look forward to having more time to spend with our families, enjoying every day, and maybe even taking that dream vacation out on the open road. Don't let the fear of uncertainty turn your retirement dream into a retirement nightmare. We can help you see how much risk you're taking, potential red flags that could cause problems for you down the road. such as tax liability, as well as a big one, how much you're paying in fees or commissions with your current plan or advisor. Call for a consultation 888-285-0829, 888-285-0829. Brian Gaiser of Gaiser Financial will take the time to get to know you, your retirement goals, get to know your unique financial situation, and building an income and protection and proper growth in your retirement plan, utilizing his P4 retirement process. 888-285-0829. Brian Gaiser, 888-285-0829.
Here's our look at women of accomplishment, women who have soared to new heights and shattered the glass ceiling.
Growing up, Sally Ride was not only interested in science, she was also a nationally ranked tennis player. She earned a PhD in physics in 1978 while doing research on the interaction of X-rays with the interstellar medium. Ride was selected to be an astronaut as part of NASA Astronaut Group 8 in 1978, the first class to select women. She was one of 35 selected out of 8,000 applicants. In overcoming gender bias during a pre-space flight press conference, she was asked such ridiculous questions as, "Do you weep when things go wrong on the job?" and "Will the flight affect your reproductive organs?"
Liftoff of STS-7 and America's first woman astronaut.
Ride became the first American and the third woman in space aboard the Challenger in 1983. Many people attending the launch wore t-shirts that said, "Ride, Sally, Ride." She served on the committees that investigated the Challenger and Columbia Space Shuttle disasters, the only person to participate in both. Ride died of pancreatic cancer on July 23, 2012. Sally Ride, one of the many women to shatter the glass ceiling.
Well, Through Wisdom with Brian Gaiser, we'll conclude with our question and answer segment. I'm Chuck Caton, along with the creator of the P4 retirement process. Happy to be with him each and every week. He's got the heart of a teacher. He's Greensboro's own. And you can see him on Sunday evenings at 6 on ABC 45 on the Wealth Through Wisdom television show, right before the Super Bowl this weekend. All right, let's say this now. And you may even give some football advice during the show, because I know you know the great former Minnesota Viking and New York Giant, a Georgia Bulldog, Fran Tarkenton. Yeah. What a player he was, and he was diminutive and still was able to scramble out of that pocket and make things happen.
Yeah, he's a good fellow. I mean, I don't know how much exactly, but, that's just a talent. That guy was just a natural talent. Too bad he didn't close that Super Bowl out, but it's kind of hard to have gone to 3 Super Bowls without being great. So
yeah, absolutely.
What an amazing
I just have to ask you, though, before we get to the question and answer, how did you become a Minnesota Viking fan?
I grew up in North Carolina, and we didn't have the Carolina Panthers when I was a kid. My brother was a Packer fan. I'm a Viking fan. My other one's a Dallas fan.
Oh, okay.
We had to go with what we had to work with, and none of us wanted to be Washington or Atlanta, because that's what was shown around here. We wanted to do something else and different.
All right. So if I can pinpoint your age, which I know we won't talk about it, but I can say that you're talking mid-70s. So you're talking about the Super Bowl 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. So just after the Joe Namath era, beating the Baltimore Colts of Don Shula, you followed, and so of course back in those days you had the Cowboys being a very high-profile team. The Vikings were as well, and my Detroit Lions were still pathetic.
Yeah. So, well, hey, this year you got to give your Lions credit. Now, I think they're going to be back next year too. I really. do.
Yeah, I think things have turned around under Danny Campbell. That's for sure.
He's amazing.
Absolutely.
You got one of the best coaches after. I mean, I'm not kidding. You really do.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. But now let's see what Paul in High Point has to say. He's got some questions for you, and he says he's been a firefighter since he was 19. He says, I retired next year after 30 years of service at the age of 49. So at this young age, short of getting another job, how can I supplement my pension?
Short of getting another job, I guess you could buy real estate, trade options. I mean, it's going to be tough to not get another job, but I guess you do have health care. You could do things that you enjoy. Figure out what I do, Paul, is not work to me. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the creativeness of my business. And obviously you did as a firefighter, but it just ran its course after 30 years, and I get that, especially when 30 years is 60% of your life. But in your case, And it's just like, it's just one of those things where you may need to get a job, or you may need to position yourself where other people can work for you. But I think it'd be tough with just the pension today, especially as expensive as things got. But what a heck of a start at 49, and you got a nice income stream coming in before you even start. Then a future income stream from Social Security. I would be really focused on saving and enjoy yourself, decompress for about a year, and then kind of plan on some level of going back to work, but exactly what, I'm not sure. Just depends. And you could always inherit a ton of money too. That's one way of doing it.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the easiest way. Just snap your fingers and have somebody, or go around and canvass the neighborhood and see who can put you on their will.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Say, hey, I may have saved your life one day. I'm a fireman. And thank you so much for your service, more importantly.
Absolutely. Let's go to Winston-Salem now. Sharon is there. She says, I've got a meeting scheduled with you next week, and I wanted to see if it'd be okay to bring along an 18-year-old son who's heading off to college in a few months. Thank you, and I appreciate what you do. You allow family members in, right? You don't kind of put them in the corner. Yeah, I mean, I've had that. Understand, right?
I had a gentleman come out of Virginia and brought his daughter who had just graduated PA school. And his son's already he's attending. He's in his, I think he was getting his master's at Liberty University. She graduated from Liberty University, and they came out of Virginia and came down. I said, "Yeah, bring them," and we still communicate. I need to communicate with him more because he's a heck of a talent. This guy's amazing, actually. Not to go into all his details, but he's kind of an amazing individual. Him and his wife have a nice little bed and VRBO on their property up there. It's a beautiful little place up in Boone's Mill. And I plan to take my wife and kid up there because he's incredibly musically talented. And he says, I can help your daughter and show her some things about the piano because she plays piano and be an incredible person and make that happen. But what it really boils down to is what she needs to do here is bring your kids along, but also, it makes sure the timing's good. I'm not sure. I'm not looking at my schedule right now, but whatever time you come, and make sure they can come, and they're more than welcome to come because that's happened more than once. I've had a bunch of younger folks in there. In fact, I just got a resume from a senior in high school wanting to do an internship before he heads off to Carolina. And so kudos to that kid, man. What an incredible thing. He sent me an email with his resume asking for an internship. And he even put unpaid internship for the summer. So I'm like, what? I love that in our young folks.
Yeah. Well, unpaid is all the intern. I've never heard of a paid internship. Do they actually pay people to be interns now or not?
You can. It's either or. Just depends on the circumstance. I usually pay.
Oh, okay. Well, can I apply to be an intern for you?
Yeah, come on down.
All right. It may pay better than this job. Anyway, Curtis in Lexington, I'm pretty confident of that, too, because we've worked together how many years? I put a dossier together.
What's it been,
here.
4 or 5 years? Something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we're going on about 5.5 here, Brian.
5.5, golly.
And I haven't aged. How about you?
Not a bit. Okay. I've been doing radio I'm in my 15th year.
Good. Absolutely.
How long have you been in radio there, Chuck?
Well, remember we just talked about Super Bowl 3 and 4? That's my career started then. So you figure it out.
Yeah, you go figure it out.
Absolutely. And
at Michigan, right? University of Michigan?
University of Michigan, University of Wisconsin, Hartford Whalers, Carolina Hurricanes. What else?
And Brian Gaiser.
I even did a New York Islander Toronto Maple Leaf game once because Joe Bowen, my good friend from the Toronto Maple Leafs, couldn't make it. He got fogged in out of Toronto, so I had to drive from Hartford to Long Island at 4 p.m. to get there for a 7 o'clock game. I made it 10 minutes before the telecast.
Wow.
Worked with a wonderful man named Harry Neal who worked for Hockey Night in Canada, and it was seamless. It was just tremendous. And the only problem was the Leafs lost. But It was fun, and I probably made more money doing that game than about 10 Whaler games combined. How about that?
Imagine what that tells you when people are desperate, what they'll pay, huh?
There you go. You're right. Ron Harrison, God rest your soul. He was the producer that day.
Wow.
Curtis in Lexington is saying now that my mother has had long-term care insurance for years. They've gone up on her premium, so what else is new? And they're telling me that she's got 2 options. One is to cancel. 2 is to take less coverage. Now, she's 70. for crying out loud. So what can she do? She's young, 70. Oh, my God, she's a spring chicken. So what would you do in that situation? I actually had this situation with my mom several years ago, and I told her not to even buy it.
Yeah. If you're this far in, all depends on your circumstance. You're probably going to have to bear it. It stinks unless you just straight up can't afford it. Then you're reducing coverage might be the option you have to take. But they do that from about 70 to 80. Boy, you're going to see some serious. And then 80 and plus, it's crazy increases. It's almost like, but it is one of those insurances you buy, Chuck, that you hope you never use. Yeah. But you're certainly glad it's there if you need it, because you'll get all your money back really quick. But there are annuities out there that double their income stream in the event you need long-term care that might be able to help you supplement it. So if she has other investments, you might want to look at something like that. Life insurance right now is probably sailed and it's a little too expensive. You've got, there's hybrid plans. You might just want to sit down with someone, take a look. We do this a lot. Take a look at what are alternatives, and you might be able to reduce but put other funds elsewhere that would cover long-term care, but not go up on price. That's why I got life insurance that allows me to draw the death benefit in the need I need long-term care. But if I don't, my price never goes up. It's the life insurance still going to be the same price.
All right, quickly, Alan in Eden wants to know, I hear you talking about annuities, Brian, but my current advisor is not about it at all. So why the contradiction?
Yeah, pressure to sell stock, commission-oriented possibly. I don't know. It just, everybody has their own opinion. No, I'm not a huge fan of the Super Bowl this weekend. Seems I don't want to hear about Taylor Swift and all the nonsense, so I probably won't watch that. What the Super Bowls used to be is what I like, what they've become. It would have been interesting to watch Detroit Lions, but I'm not really interested in either one of these teams. More power to them. I admire them. There's good people on the team. But really what it boils down to is everybody has their different flavor. I like to look at a plethora of different types. I know I need more than a quarterback. I need receivers. I need linebackers. I need other positions in my retirement accounts that are going to take care of me and help me to sleep at night. So that's really where the annuity, in most cases, comes in. So pressure to sell stock, I'm not sure.
All right. So I know you've got some thoughts here on what you can do for listeners.
What it boils down to, folks, I love this show today. Really put together a list, live by a schedule. Could not have a better example than what Stephen Covey said. Imagine your bedroom with no closet and no dresser drawers. Imagine your clothes and everything just laid around. Imagine if all the things in your closet and dresser drawers had to go out and come out and be on the floor, lay on chairs, that kind of thing. That's really what it's like when you don't have a true retirement plan. It's so incredible to plan in advance. He had a matrix that he used himself. It's called the time management matrix, and I thought it was pretty interesting because when the time management matrix, he puts it into 4 quadrants. You got number 1 quadrant has important and urgent, and that quadrant basically, this is when you're in a crisis, pressure problems, deadlines driven, that kind of task, if you will, at hand. But then quadrant 2 is not urgent, but it is important. This is where most of your life should be spent, and that's preservation, capability improvements, relationship building, recognizing new opportunities, planning. And what's the result of that? Vision, perspective, balance. You're a lot more calm. You're not making crises-type decisions. But most people live in what is called quadrant 3, which is not important, but it's urgent, pressing, interruptions, phone calls, got to read my emails, TikTok, all these kind of nonsense. In quadrant 4, it's kind of like even at a lower level of that. And really what it boils down to is if we spend our time in preservation, capability improvements, in planning, relationship building, recognizing new opportunities, you're trying to spend your life in quadrant 2. And I gave you kind of a quick scenario there just because of time. Folks, I'm telling you right now, you manage your time right, you'll get your plans right. You'll achieve the things you want. You'll go on the vacations you want. You'll raise your kids the right way. Take a look at it. Basically, all you do is you just put in Stephen Covey, Stephen Covey, Google this, quadrants, and just take a look at the quadrants and think about what they're saying there. It's really a great way to kind of organize your thoughts when it comes around scheduling. But folks, what it really boils down to is scheduling a time to sit down and go over a financial plan, a true retirement plan. We're going to put together an income plan for you. We're going to explore protection against catastrophic illness, things of that nature that can wipe out a retirement very quickly, leave a spouse destitute. Spending plan, your growth plan. We're going to make sure you're not taking too much risk. We're going to review what you're doing, and then we're going to give you an alternative plan that makes sense. In most cases, it's not an alternative plan. All I have is statements, no plan. Let us put together a plan for you. Genius is the ability to reduce the complicated to simple. Chuck will tell you how.
It's that core plan that leads to a comprehensive one, so give Brian Gaiser a call, 888-959-1641. That's 888-959-1641. He's got people standing by to take your phone call to find out at no cost, no obligation when you can meet with Brian Gaiser. 888-959-1641. Well, it's been a great show, and enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll see you next week. Brian, what do you have to say to our listeners?
Folks, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll talk at you next week.
Brian Gaiser is an investment advisor representative of Advisory Alpha LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed by Brian Gaiser are solely his own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Advisory Alpha. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Advisory Alpha LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance, coaching, and education services offered through Gaiser Financial Group. Gaiser Financial Group is a separate and unaffiliated entity from Advisory Alpha LLC. While tax and legal issues may be discussed in the general course of financial and investment planning, Advisory Alpha does not provide tax or legal services. Please consult with your tax or legal professional prior to making decisions relative to these issues. This radio show is not endorsed or approved by the Social Security Office or any other government agency. An annuity is a long-term financial product designed largely for asset accumulation and retirement needs. All guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company.